Hi there, Internet. DIY is the poorly produced web series where I talk with friends as overly consumed by music as I am. Today I'm sitting down with my good friend, Ethan. How long have we known each other?
It's close to 10 years, if not 10
Yeah,
years now.
yeah. So I met Ethan when I was living in Houston. He's a H-Town buddy. He is currently playing drums in two Houston area bands, Phlegmatics, who he's been with for 10 years. You know your punk band is legit when they go play in Japan, right? You're like the Mel Banana of America.
That's
Uh,
cool, man.
and Ethan's also pursuing a master's in criminal justice.
I'm not the man. I'm not going to work for the man or be the man. I'm infiltrating the system. That's my ultimate goal. Wait.
Hopefully no one watches this video then. So Ethan and I are going to be digging through some vaults. We're just going to talk about some old music that we've been digging lately, or maybe some stuff that we missed the first time around that we've been digging. Before that, it's time to ask Ethan 3 questions.
Bring it on.
What is the weirdest moment you've ever had while playing a show?
One of my first gigs with the Phlegmatics, we have this tune we play called Punk Rock Club. We always get real rowdy, rambunctious. We're playing, and I felt like something got spilled on me. My brother Jonathan, who also plays guitar, was spitting on me while we were playing, and that was pretty weird, I'd say. I mean, I did not know we were in character, but when the spit hit me, I realized, okay, well, we're spitting on each other now.
So you've never been spit on before?
No, not on purpose, at least.
You haven't met me yet, so. What is your favorite Elvis Costello album, and you have to tell me why in 3 words or less?
This year's model.
Of course, that's the correct answer. Yeah.
3 words. Pump it up.
Well done. What song do you think would best accompany a hot dog eating contest?
Golly. Oh my God, that's a great question. Achy Breaky Heart.
Okay.
By Billy Ray Cyrus.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, with no further ado, then we'll jump into digging through some vaults. What vaults have you been cracking open lately?
Well, one vault, it was actually opened to me by the late, great Rice radio station from Houston. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
We all miss you greatly. They used to do this really great show, play psychedelic music and just 60s pop music. They played this song, and it sounded to me, the vocals not necessarily, but the music was just like, sounded like Queen. And I was blown away. I was like, who is this? This is a 60s band. I sat there in my car for 30 minutes just waiting to hear what band it was. And they were called the Idle Race. This was Jeff Lynne. You know him from ELO, guitarist. Uh-huh. It was one of his first bands. They actually had it on they had a MySpace, and they said, well, we don't really have the album's not really in print, so here you can go. And so I went and bought a bunch of it digitally, and it's great. It's fantastic. Beatlesque song arrangement. The melodies are different, and the song structure and the instrumentation is a little different too. But it's great stuff. If you're a fan of Jeff Lynne or Queen or any of that type of music, Idle Race, you should definitely check them out.
A guitarist, a buddy who I was playing with, my friend Jeff, he told me, have you heard of this band, Auto Salvage? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They were this late 60s band in New York that should have been a late 60s band in San Francisco because they would have thrived. This band had one album, one of the first groups to use an 8-track recorder, right? It's called Psychedelic Essentials, of course. Picking up on the tails of like the early psychedelic Beatles stuff and kind of, pushing it even towards more of a like Led Zeppelin aggression. How come these people make such amazing music and people don't notice it at all, or if they do, it's like it doesn't nearly get the attention. He went on to become like a guitar maker who made like, Jerry Garcia's guitars and people like that, right? So like he did okay for himself in life. In the music business. His guitars are really sought after, but his band never made it, and it's wrong place, wrong time, or whatever. But why do you think that happens?
There's a documentary on Netflix about a band called Death. I believe it's called A Band Called Death. And it's a similar story where this band just comes around. They just have this energy and connection. There may have been one pivotal event where luck didn't go their way. The reason they didn't make it is because they weren't willing to change their band name. Is from what I understood, the record label that was about to sign them said, "Oh, we can't market that band name." No, I'm not. We're not compromised. And so the album never comes out, and they disappear into obscurity until evidently Elijah Wood digs them up or does a documentary about them.
And I think this is a really, really good like PSA to musicians: is publish your music somehow.
It might have been work that I have done studio work for that's
Right.
been released on a label, but any band that I've been actively involved in, all of it's been self-released. But like you said, if I'm not recording and archiving what we're doing, to me it's a waste of time.
If you have 5 songs, make a shitty basement demo or something, right?
Mhm.
You know, what if Auto Salvage had not recorded their one LP, right? Like, then they literally would have been this really, really fantastic band that opened for Frank Zappa and shit like that. No one could ever hear their music ever again. I don't know. I think it's important.
Digging through boxes full of old LPs and trying to find something, and I mean, if I came up on that Auto Salvage, I mean, just from looking at it, I'd probably want to buy it. If people didn't do that, then we would have a lot harder time finding good old music to listen to and talk about.
Like, I remember the first time I heard Fela Kuti, I flipped my fucking shit.
Yeah, me too. And he uses 2 baritone saxes. 2 baritone saxes. Those are so sick. And it's funny because you bring up Fela Kuti, because the way I found him was I was just looking through Amazon lists. You know how they I don't know if they do that anymore, but they would have to where you can make a list of old CDs, and I believe the list was called the best music that you can ever listen to, or something like that. I also found this band called the Feelies on the same list, and the Feelies were early 80s, for lack of a better term, I'd say pop punk. It's another great band to check out.
What gives you nostalgia about music? I like Madonna, right? She had amazing producers and she had strong intent in her early albums, but when I'm flipping through records and I see her album, I don't feel as nostalgic. Like, I want to buy this makes me feel nostalgic. But if I see a really, really good Fleetwood Mac or Dolly Parton album, you know, I have a nostalgia about that artist. What draws you to old music personally?
For me, what draws me to old music is essentially the idea of finding the source of what's going on now. 10 years ago, I didn't dive back the way I do now. I was very much in my time. I trust that that's normal. We knew who King Crimson was because, you know, 21st Century Schizoid. And then I listened to the Mars Volta because I loved At the Drive-In. And then all of a sudden, I put in my old King Crimson album, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is like Mars Volta music. And they were doing it 30 years ago.
The reason to really dig through and find obscure bands, or even not so obscure bands, to be genuine about why and how and what and who you're appreciating in regards to music. As far as, like, dynamic and the way the songs are structured, Genesis and the Mars Volta are not that far apart if you're looking at, like, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th albums by Genesis, right? The roots are really there, but I would not touch Genesis or anything like that when I was like 17. By 19 probably, you know, but I was really stuck in this box of like what's punk and what's alternative and what's hardcore and what's political, right? And then I realized Pete Seeger has a lot to do with punk rock even happening ever, right? Because he has this real politicizing music. Music is a way of communicating with your community as opposed to a way of making money.
You find the new band and then you go backwards. I've started finding old bands and looking forward. Who did they inspire? Who bought this person's or these people's album, and how did it inspire them? You know, getting King Crimson Red and loving that album, and then finding out that Kurt Cobain said it was one of his favorite records. But if you break it down, you look at it, the dissonance and the heaviness, and you know some of the tension, and you start to put it together and see it.
He had amazing taste, and he brought Daniel Johnston to the world. I thought about this recently. I'm not really a big Pearl Jam guy. You know, obviously has a good taste in music, but it just doesn't do it for me. They bring like Andy Clark out on stage one night to just like play a song with that. In my world, she's like Elvis, right? Like everyone who I talk about music with knows St. Vincent, but no, not really otherwise. He literally reunited Sleater Kinney like a couple months ago on stage, introduced all these people to how badass those three women are. Those are the bands I try to listen to when, like, you know, like whoever whatever T-shirt Nickelback is wearing, whatever T-shirt Nickelback is wearing, that's the band I want to find out. Like, who the fuck is that band? Because they're probably pretty good.
The artists. To name another one, I'm not a huge Tool fan. He has great taste in opening acts. Melt Banana, but it was one of the massive. It's one of the Toyota Center or Vermont Arena. Huge. Yeah. Cynthia Woods. They toured with them, and they played. Yeah, and System of a Down got Hella to play with them on tour. That's almost as honorable and respectable, in my opinion, as writing good music themselves, because they're furthering art. Even though the art that they make isn't the best, at least they're trying to get. It's like they're making friends with people, and then sneaking them the good stuff. You know, they're sneaking them a good album, and they say, "Hey, you like me? You should like Melt Banana."
Desaparecidos, their only really big tour ever was opening for Jimmy World, and they actually stopped playing music together because of that. That was like too weird. That was too weird. They didn't like it.
Really?
They did not like being. Carl Burst did not like being that successful.
Really, we're talking about things that are obscure and that are archived and that people just don't. People aren't going to find. You know, they're not going to see that, and it's beautiful that and we're kind of doing that now, except not as many people watch this maybe as listen to Eddie Vedder, but one day.
Not yet. But when Eddie Vedder's on the show,
we're coming for you, Eddie.
When Eddie Vedder's on the show, and I apologize for not really liking Pearl Jam that much, publicly to him. I do like Jeremy.
Just a few more old records for people to check out. Vinyl Edge in Houston, giving them a little, giving them a little love. I picked up an album called Antenna, Camina del Sol. I bought the CD, and it didn't have a year on it. Oh, this is, some band that came out recently. They're doing, cutie synth pop stuff. This stuff was made in the early 80s. It blew me away. I couldn't believe it. It's insane. I mean, the list of bands that list them as a influence. One of the ones that stuck out to me greatly was Beck, and it made some of Beck's music and what Beck did make sense in my head. So that check out the band is Antenna, and the album is Camina del Sol, and you can find it on the Numero Group website.
Ethan, what's stuck in your head? Is there any new music, old music, besides the music you already mentioned, that has been really, rumbling around for the past couple days?
What's been stuck in my head recently, pretty much any band from the record label Sargent House, specifically Terra Milos, along with Ariel Pink's Haunted Graffiti. Both of those two are probably my favorite current bands. Give me a new album. I need to buy your album. Release something. Give it to me.
I want to do a real quick plug. I reviewed this album. I really, really like it. It's Dum Dum Girls, Too True. Dum Dum Girls have had 2 almost flawless garage rock releases, but this is something a little different. It's more of a dream pop influence, shoegaze influence, more of a gothic writing style, and it's a really, really good album. So that's Dum Dum Girls, Too True, and I normally don't show album covers, but I own this one. It's in my hand, so it's a phenomenal album.
Facebook has been suggesting that I like them, so
right.
Now that I have Alex's word and Facebook's word, I'm going to do it.
If you look around this generic area. You'll be able to, subscribe to this channel and see me ramble on with more friends. I'll probably link to some other videos. I don't know yet because I'm not there yet. But you'll be able to see all that. And if you look down, then you'll be able to follow the Phlegmatics on Facebook. You can go to the Bandcamp and check out an excellent EP by Pink Eye, which I'll play out some music, probably starting now. And other than that, come by, check us out, maybe watch us live or watch our recorded show sometime. And thank you very much for coming on the show, Ethan.
Thank you, Alex, for having me.
All right, say goodbye, Internet.
Bye, Internet. We're live on the Internet right now, though.